So hi everyone, and welcome to another live session from the series Engineering Qualification Validation in Australia. And in this live session, number 124, I will be talking about how to prepare the curriculum vitae for the engineering qualification validation process. Yes, and this is live number 124, which means that for the last 124 weeks, I am here live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube talking about a subject about the validation process or talking about how to get your first professional job here in Australia. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida, and I'm the founder of the website www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website to share content of value and useful information to help you in your journey to validate your engineering qualification here in Australia. And I also share information about workplace health and safety, environmental management, day-to-day of engineering in Australia, and also about professional engineering recruitment. And also, if you haven't joined my Telegram group yet, what is Telegram? Telegram is like a WhatsApp. It's a messaging app. I have a group called Engineering Qualification Validation in Telegram, and we are more than 800 members there. In the group, I post videos, chats, posts, and the PDFs of these live sessions. So if you're not part of the Telegram group yet, I'm going to paste the link in the comments, so you can you will need to download the app first, so Telegram, and then you can click on this link and then you can join the group. And also, for those that are interested in don't know much about it, or you want to learn how you can start your engineering qualification validation, I will start my free online workshop in December, the 5th of December. It's going to be obviously the last free workshop this in 2021. And if you haven't registered yet, you can register for free. I'm also going to paste the link in the comments so you guys can register for free, and then we'll be receiving my emails with the notifications of when the workshop is going to start. So let's get down to the business now, and I'm really happy to be here to share my experience in the engineering qualification validation process. So the first topic that I want to talk about is what is needed in the curriculum vitae. As you may or may not know, your CV is one of the documents that is in the step number 1, which is about your personal information. And your CV needs to have your full summary of your engineering education and work experience. And also, it should be a chronological list of employment. And Engineers Australia asks you that the CV should not be more than 3 pages. And also, Engineers Australia, in the Migration Skills Assessment booklet, it tells you that it should contain the name and location of each of your employer or organization, your contact details, the dates and duration of employment, the contact details of your former supervisor in your company, the title of occupation that you performed, the details of your role or activities, and if you have a role description or position description, you could attach together with your CV. And also, obviously, you need to have your summary of your academic engineering education as well. And obviously, also together with any other CV, you should have your personal and professional profile, and also make sure that you put the objective of that CV, which is to support your application for your validation process. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to prepare a PDF I'm just going to share with you guys now. So that's going to be the PDF that I'm going to make, and I'm going to share in the Telegram group. But as always, I will ask you for some engagement in my Instagram account. So this is the PDF, how to prepare for the validation process, and what is needed in the CV. So the information that I just talked to you. And now the other part, just going back to my notes. The other part that I would like to talk to you is what do I need to include in the employment which is not engineering? Do I need to include that employment if I didn't work as an engineer? So the booklet is very clear that your CV must include everything. Since your graduation, it must include everything, even those periods of inactivity. For example, let's say that you graduated, and then here in Australia and United States is probably more common than in other countries like Brazil. But if you ended up doing a gap year is usually when you graduated and then you take, let's say, 1 year and then you travel around or you do something else. So that's called gap year. If you took any gap year, you need to include that. Another example, if you have had any employment outside engineering since you graduated, or any study periods if you were not working in engineering. Classic example is an engineer that graduated in Brazil, even if you worked, let's say, 1 or 2 years or few years in Brazil, and then you came to Australia, and then here in Australia you were studying or you were working in a different area. So those periods of study and those periods of working, let's say, as a cleaner or a waiter or Uber Eats, etc., you need to include in your CV. So your CV, since your graduation until now, there's you got to have all employments in there. You cannot have gaps in that in those periods in your CV. And what's the difference between the CV for the validation process and for employment? A lot of people, they ask me, Jason, can I use the same CV that I use when I applying for jobs in the validation process? The answer is probably not, because when you're applying for a job, and I already spoke here many times about the tips about the CV when you're applying for a job. When you're applying for a job, you look at the position description, and the position description usually has some specific area or has some specific selection criteria that you need to apply for. Let's say that you're applying for a position as a structural engineer. If you're applying for a structural engineer position, probably your CV will have experience that is relevant for a structural engineer. If you have employments other than structural engineering, and let's say outside of engineering or even in engineering but not really related to structural engineering, you may not put those experiences in your CV if you are applying for a position for a structural engineering. But if you are applying for the validation process, your CV must have all types of employments that you had since your graduation. So that's the difference. When you're applying for a job, your CV will be tailored to that position, so perhaps not going to have everything. In your CV for the validation process, since your graduation, you need to have everything in there. So that's basically the difference. Even those periods of inactivity, the periods that you perhaps traveled around, or perhaps the periods that you were here, let's say in Australia, studying. All right, any question about that? It's all good. I'm just going to check in the comments to see if everything is all right. Yeah, you can send me the questions in the comments. I will be answering those really soon. So just explaining to you guys how I'm going to share this PDF. So as you can see, that's going to be the PDF that I'm going to put together. So what I would like you guys to do, I'm just going to make it slightly bigger. So what I did if you go to my Instagram, you will see that my last post is this one: how to prepare the CV for my engineering validation process. So that's my last post in my Instagram. Yeah, those ones that are not in Instagram, perhaps you're watching in YouTube or Facebook. Yeah, that's my Instagram at Gerson Ida. Yeah, that's my Instagram. So what I would like you guys to do is to go to my last post, which is this one, and then like the post and also write in the comments. I'm going to write in the comments there, mark someone who will benefit in learning this to help in their validation process. So I'm posting now. So it's not difficult. I just would like you to like the post and then write in the comments the name of somebody that would benefit in learning how to prepare the curriculum vitae for the validation process. So if I have engagement, if I have likes and comments, I then will make this as a PDF, and then I will post in the Telegram group. So you need to be part of the Telegram group as well, because it's easier for me. And it will be protected by a password that I'm going to release during the live session. So stay with me. So what is needed in the CV? Do I need to include employment, not in engineering? What's the difference between the CV for the validation and for employment? Okay, so don't need to do now. You can keep watching the live session, but then after the live session, if you could go to my profile and then mark somebody that would benefit and like the post, please. So the other point that I would like to talk with you is what else is important to include in the curriculum vitae. Yeah, we talk about obviously your education summary. We talked about your employment, either in engineering or outside of engineering after your graduation, and also periods of study after your graduation. But what else is important to include? I always advise my mentoring students, for those that don't know, I have an online mentoring program where I teach how to prepare and how to write your application for your validation process. And I advise my students to always include some projects in their curriculum vitae, especially those ones that they are going to use in their career episodes. It provides one extra piece of evidence of your competencies. So if you're going to write a project in your career episode, please make sure that that project appears in your CV, obviously, under your employment. So if you work for a company and you deliver that project, make sure that you include that project under that employment period, because then it will link with the career episode. And the other question that I usually get is, because there are two processes for you to validate your engineering qualification here in Australia. One, it's called the Migration Skills Assessment, which is the one that majority of overseas engineers will do, and which has a migration purposes. Obviously, it's in the name, Migration Skills Assessment. But then there is another process, which is called Stage 1 of Membership Eligibility with Engineers Australia. Just explaining, Stage 1 of membership eligibility is when you are validating your qualification without migration purposes. And if you are applying with migration purposes, then you will be applying under the Migration Skills Assessment, or MSA for short. But when you apply under the Stage 1 of membership eligibility, is anyone there in the audience applying under Stage 1? If you are applying under Stage 1, maybe you put in the comments Stage 1, so I know that you are applying under Stage 1. I'm just going to make the comments visible. Yes, somebody in Telegram there. Those ones in YouTube, Rafael, thanks Rafael for your question. He's asking, where can I find the link to join the Telegram group? I just pinned the link in YouTube, Rafael, so you're probably going to see there. All right, so those ones applying under the Stage 1 of membership eligibility, when you're applying under that process, there is a guideline in the Engineers Australia website. And in this guideline, they ask you to have a verified CV. What is verified CV? A verified CV is a CV with your engineering experiences, but each experience in the last 3 years, at least the last 3 years, is verified by your current or former employer or supervisor. And this supervisor is preferably a member or fellow of Engineers Australia. And in the CV, this member or fellow of Engineers Australia should write the following statement. I verify that this is a true statement of the career history of, let's say, Gerson Ida, during the period of, let's say, 1 January 2015 until 31st of December 2016, for example. So that is the verification in the CV. And together with this statement, obviously, you need to have the name of the person that signed and verified that CV, and the contact details, telephone number, email, and also, if applicable, the membership number. Yeah, Gerson, but I am a permanent resident, but my experience is all from Brazil, for example, or overseas. And my supervisor, he or she, is not a member of Engineers Australia. What do I need to do? Can I still do, and do I need to do the verified CV? Well, the answer then is no. If your experience is an overseas experience, you are a permanent resident, or you don't need migration purposes, you're going to apply under Stage 1. In that case, if you cannot get a verification from a member of Engineers Australia or a fellow of Engineers Australia, you need to provide reference letters. Same sort of reference letters that you would apply if you were doing migration skills assessment, which means a company letterhead with obviously your name, your position, the period of employment, if you're working full-time, part-time, preferably you can put your salary base as well there. And then at least the 5 activities that you were doing when you were working as an engineer in that company. And obviously the letter needs to be signed by your former supervisor or from somebody from the human resources department, and have the contact details, telephone number and email address, for example. All right, there are some questions here. Let's say in YouTube. Johnny says, hi Gerson, it's good to see you again. It's been a while since my last opportunity to join your live sessions. Yeah, thank you very much, Johnny, and welcome back. I hope that I can see you every Sunday. And Rafael, yeah, he was asking, find the Telegram group. Yeah, I put in there. No worries, Rafael. I hope to see you there. Let's see, Facebook. Adri Lima, Mark, Igor, Felix. Yeah, thanks, Adri. But if you could mark Igor in Instagram, I would appreciate that as well. In Instagram, there are a couple of questions in Instagram there. Rodrigo, yeah, thank you very much, Rodrigo. Welcome back. What should I put in the CV for the period that I was not working as an engineer after graduated? And for example, the time we were here in Australia working in the labor force. Well, if you're working as a laborer, let's say you work in construction just as a laborer, you just put that, saying that you're working in that company as a laborer. So, yeah, Engineers Australia, they know that students, and majority of the people that are applying for validation, they international students. And Engineers Australia, they know that you are here, perhaps not working as an engineer, working as a laborer, working as a cleaner, working as hospitality, and you just put that the name of the company, and then working as a laborer, and then the main activities that you were doing as a laborer. So if you're working as a draftsperson, you put that you work as a draftsperson. If you work as a cleaner, you put as you work as a cleaner. If you were studying and not working, you can say that you were studying, let's say, English, or you're studying an advanced diploma of project management or whatever, also working in hospitality or Uber Eats while you were studying. So it's important to, and it's imperative actually, to write everything that you did, even if you were not working as an engineer. What happens if you don't write, if you don't include those works in your CV? Engineers Australia will obviously notice that there is a gap in your CV, and when you apply with a gap in your CV, most certainly they will ask you in a feedback for you to complete your CV to include what you did in that period. So there's no problem if you write that you worked as a laborer, if you worked as a cleaner or whatever. Okay, yeah, very good. So I'm going to release the password for the PDF. So I'm going to show you the PDF again. So that's the PDF that if I have engagement in the Instagram post, and the Instagram post is my last one, this one here, there's a picture, how to prepare the CV for my engineering validation process. What you need to do, you just need to like the post, and mark someone that will benefit in learning about the CV for the engineering validation process. So once I have the likes and the names of people that you are there, if I have engagement, then I will make this as a PDF, and I'm going to post in my Telegram group. And the password is, I'm going to paste the password in the comments so you guys know. Those that don't know, they probably will ask what's this word, but this is the password. It's validation CV. So that's going to be the password of the PDF. So make sure that you like the post and mark somebody in the comments, and then I will produce this PDF and I'm going to post in the Telegram group with that password, validation CV. And again, if you're interested in the free workshop, I want to become an engineer in Australia, that's going to happen in December, start on the 5th of December, 10 a.m. Brisbane time with a live webinar. You can register in the event and be notified with the calendar and notification of the events, because it's going to be the full week. So register in the free workshop. So I'm going to paste again the link so you guys can register. And I'm going to check for any other question there. No more question. And next Sunday, the live session is going to be slightly different. I selected, I might have a few more live sessions like this, but next Sunday, I will talk about one of the competencies that you need to address in your validation process, which is PE 1.5, which talks about knowledge of contextual factors impacting the engineering discipline. So this is one of the competencies that you need to address. And next week, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what do we understand about that competency. And I'm going to talk about some of the examples that you potentially could use to address this competency. So a lot of people, they're asking me, oh, Gerson, I don't know how to address this competency. I don't know how to address that competency, etc. So I teach all of this in my mentoring program, but I understand that some of you may or may not be part of it, could or could not be part of it. So I will try to explain it the best as I can. It's not going to be the same as obviously in my mentoring, because in my mentorings are very detailed. But I'll try to explain to you guys what does that competency mean and some of the examples that you could be using. So after this live session, you can go to my YouTube channel. If you just search Gerson Ida, you will find, and then you can activate the notification to be reminded about this the next live session. It's going to be next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. I think it's 9:30 Sydney, Melbourne time. And also it's going to be, I think, 7:30 a.m. Brasilia time. And I certainly would like to thank you for your participation. Thank the Brazilian audience that is part here. Thank you very much for that. And I hope that tonight's live session helped you to understand a little bit better how to prepare your curriculum vitae for the validation process. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time, where I'm going to talk about the competency PE 1.5, knowledge of contextual factors impacting the engineering discipline. Thank you very much. and have a good night. Bye-bye. See ya.
Ça va pas manger? Ouais. Ça va pas manger? Não sei o que. Quantas pessoas? 13 viewers no Instagram.